All right, big show today. It's Wednesday, January 29th, 2025, and Senator John Fetterman has just become one of the most powerful members of the U.S. Senate. Going on The View, speaking the truth, how did John Fetterman become one of the only sane Democrats in Washington, leaving the hosts stunned, flabbergasted? We're gonna show you, we'll explain what's happening here, why this is important, and how it puts him at the center of this massive power dynamic in D.C. right now. Also, fireworks exploding on Capitol Hill in RFK Jr.'s confirmation hearing. He's on the Hill right now being grilled by the Senate Finance Committee and single-handedly exposing these senators as complete shills for Big Pharma. Wait till you see this. And MSNBC screwed up bigly last night on Rachel Maddow's show, defaming Elon Musk again, but this time clear-cut defamation. I mean, as clear as it gets, in my opinion. I'm going to show you the clip, more stories as well from around the country. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. So Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman appeared on The View Monday for this pre-planned interrogation. In case you weren't aware, Dems have been freaking out over John Fetterman recently. They are nervous between some of his recent statements, then him flying down to Mar-a-Lago last month to meet with Donald Trump, which pissed a lot of people off. They need to know, is John Fetterman the new Joe Manchin? Where is his head at? Why'd you go to Mar-a-Lago? Was it your idea? Was it Trump's idea? What the hell's going on, John? I'm going to play it for you in a minute. But to clarify, Trump invited him to Mar-a-Lago. It was strategic. The Republicans control the Senate by 3 votes. That's it. They have 53 seats. Dems have 45 seats. And then there's 2 independents who vote with the Dems 100% of the time. One of them is Bernie Sanders. If Trump can get Fetterman or another Democrat to vote with Republicans on some occasions, it could make or break his agenda. For example, today, RFK Jr. is being grilled by the Senate Finance Committee. They're going to be voting on his confirmation tomorrow. We know the Republican Senate's filled with these rhinos who just voted no on Pete Hegseth. We lost 3 Republicans on that vote. J.D. Vance had to break the tie. We're going to see that for the next 2 years. Mitch McConnell, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski are the rhinos we know, but there's more of them, believe me. RFK Jr.'s confirmation could come down to a Democrat like John Fetterman breaking ranks. That makes John Fetterman very powerful for the next 2 years if he plays his cards right. So with that in mind, watch as the hosts on The View openly question his allegiance to the party. The more they do this, the more likely he is to break ranks. Roll the tape.
Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman was the first Democratic senator to visit Mar-a-Lago, and he says he's committed to working alongside Republicans, but can he find a middle ground with an administration that has spent the first week in power destroying Democratic Party policies? And, let's say, he's a little shaky with democracy. Okay?
You going to Mar-a-Lago gives cover to Trump by creating the solution that he's amenable to working with Democrats. I was very supportive of when people like Mitt Romney and Rob Portman worked with Joe Biden, so I understand the need for bipartisanship. I didn't love the optics of you going to Mar-a-Lago. He was going to, which is his palace. He was going to be in Washington a week later.
And I wanted to ask you, so you went down to Mar-a-Lago and met with the president, and he actually was singing your praises after. He said you were fascinating, impressive, a common sense person. I agree with him on that. Not a liberal or a conservative. I'm curious what your takeaway was from meeting with him, and what, if you found that there's any specific policy areas you think you can work with him on.
Yeah, well, I think overall it was a positive experience. I mean, he was kind, he was cordial. It wasn't in any kind of theater. It wasn't trying to get your picture taken to kind of put something out on social media.
They were smart. They lean into this. Fetterman is much more likable than the rest of them. The hosts on The View seem to confuse his populism with being a Republican, which he's not. He's far from Republican. even a MAGA Republican. Far from being a MAGA Republican, he's a left-wing populist. There's slight overlaps between that and MAGA's brand of right-wing populism. But I have to give him credit. He was honest. And it was driving the View hosts crazy, telling them, so far, Trump's done exactly as he promised, exactly as he campaigned on, saying he's fulfilled his promises. That's right. Promises made, promises kept. Watch this.
It's hard to believe it's only been a week since the former president has retaken office. You were there at inauguration. He's been attempting to flex his power. But are you surprised by anything? I didn't even see what that was.
He's wearing a similar outfit at the inauguration, and you looked great.
I totally feel you. Okay, I get you. So, but are you surprised at anything you've been seeing, or do you anticipate that there's going to be changes that we should be prepped for that we're not thinking about?
I mean, honestly, I haven't been surprised by anything now. I mean, he's been doing essentially what he actually campaigned on that. He announced he is going to pardon the J6 individuals. He is going to absolutely go after the border. So there's a lot of things that he's already ran on. I mean, criticized a lot of it, and I don't agree with everything either, but it's undeniable he actually ran on that and been really upfront. He's like, I am your reputation, and he's, kind of making those moves. So that's kind of where we're at. Early on, immediately after the election, I was like, hey, we have a choice. We can freak out and follow every other thing around, like a cat, with a laser, after everyone. But I'm not that guy. I'm not going to be that Democrat. For me, there's things I'm going to agree with, I'm going to disagree with, but I'm in the business of finding wins for Pennsylvania and for the nation, and engaging the president. I think I see that as doing my job.
Well said.
And something I appreciate was his honesty about the Biden administration's illegal lawfare against Donald Trump. Sicking the Justice Department on your political enemies is corruption. That's what Joe Biden did, or his administration did, and it was wrong. They harassed, they arrested thousands of Trump supporters over J6. They arrested dozens of Trump's closest allies, locked them up, put them in prison for meaningless crimes, statutes that had never been used. It was political lawfare. Watch John Fetterman, of all people, admit this and set the record straight. Watch this.
I just for clarification, did you mean that the 34-count case in which Donald Trump was found guilty of various financial crimes was politically motivated here in New York?
I found that when the judicial system gets weaponized and targeted political enemies for political gain, I think that's inappropriate, and I think that degrades our collective trust in this a very important institution, whether that's on a Democratic going after a Republican or a Republican going after a Democratic one. And I like to think I call it strikes and balls, because the judicial system has to remain impartial. I mean, that's really the cornerstone of our society.
Would that be the way the things worked? Wouldn't that be great if that's the way the things actually work?
In another story, Trump's nominee for Secretary of HHS, RFK Jr., is on Capitol Hill right now being grilled by the Senate Finance Committee, and he's dismantling them as we speak. I have some of the highlights. I'll show them to you. There are senators on this committee who slipped up today, showed their hand a bit too much in an effort to tear RFK Jr. down, and they failed epically. And the American people know it. As much as they call this man a liar, the more the people trust him. Watch some of this.
Know that Mr. Kennedy has embraced conspiracy theories, quacks, charlatans, especially when it comes to the safety and efficacy of vaccines. He has made it his life's work to sow doubt and discourage parents from getting their kids life-saving vaccines. It has been lucrative for him and put him on the verge of immense power. This is the profile of someone who chases money and influence wherever they lead, even if that may mean the tragic deaths of children and other vulnerable.
Restore trust in the public health agencies. We need transparency. The I want to say something about what you first said. When I launched my campaign, it was about uniting Americans, Democrats and Republicans. There's no issue that should unite us more than this chronic health epidemic. There's no such thing as Republican children or Democratic children. These are our kids. 66% of them are damaged. I know what a healthy kid looks like because I had so many of them in my family. I didn't know anybody with a food allergy growing up, peanut allergy. Why do 5 of my kids have allergies? Why are we seeing these explosions in diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, neurological diseases, depression, all of these things that are related to toxics in the environment? Why can't we just agree with each other to put differences about so many issues, intractable issues aside, and say, we're going to end this? I don't think anybody is going to be able to do this like I have because of my peculiar experience, because I've litigated against these agencies. When you litigate against them, you get a PhD in corporate capture and how to unravel it.
These are U.S. senators doing the bidding of Big Pharma. One of the worst examples of this by far today was Senator Elizabeth Warren, who is a shill, complete shill for Big Pharma. Watch as she tries to bully RFK Jr. into promising not to sue pharmaceutical companies. It doesn't get much worse than this, folks. Disgusting. Watch this.
You financially down the line.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You have said
You're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're doing.
Look, no one should be fooled here. As Secretary of HHS, Robert Kennedy will have the power to undercut vaccines and vaccine manufacturing across our country. And for all of his talk about follow the science and his promise that he won't interfere with those of us who want to vaccinate his kids, the bottom line is the same. Kennedy can kill off access to vaccines and make millions of dollars while he does it. Kids might die, but Robert Kennedy can keep cashing in.
Senator, I support vaccines. I support the childhood schedule.
And now RFK Jr. is also scheduled for a hearing tomorrow with the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, but that hearing doesn't matter. That's a courtesy hearing. Only the Senate Finance Committee, the one right now, today, will be voting on his confirmation. This cabinet post is critical to Trump's agenda, not only his Make America Healthy Again agenda, but disrupting and dismantling the more insidious side of the federal government that's funding some of these disgusting programs we've seen come to light in recent years, how they've transformed HHS into a vehicle for control and manipulation. Everything we saw they were capable of during the pandemic. He's going to be working with Trump's DNI, hopefully Tulsi Gabbard, to locate those overseas labs our government's been funding for years, doing off-book research that they can't legally do in this country. This isn't just about corporate capture that exists between Big Pharma and government. HHS has become this giant black hole, the largest federal department in all of government. Over 90,000 employees, encompassing the largest budget, even larger than the Pentagon. The Biden administration's budget this year allocated $1.7 trillion to HHS. That's almost twice the size of the Pentagon. That's insane. In another story, the Trump administration held their first White House press briefing yesterday where Carolyn Leavitt provided an update on the mysterious drones that were flying over New Jersey and those other northeastern states last month, saying the drones, or UAP, that were flying over New Jersey were actually authorized by the FAA and the Biden administration for research purposes. What? So they're not UAP? They're just drones? Watch this.
Update on the New Jersey drones. After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons. Many of these drones were also hobbyists, recreational, and private individuals that enjoy flying drones. In time, it got worse due to curiosity. This was not the enemy.
So there's a lot to be said about that answer. First, it's wildly insufficient, but also it's a part of the puzzle. We learned definitively yesterday that the Biden administration lied when they said they didn't know what these were. And from what I understand, there's way more than they let on yesterday. If these were all U.S. research drones, what about the UAP that were hovering over Langley for 17 days in September? What about the UAP that caused Wright-Patterson Air Base to shut down in December, just last month? If these were our drones, why would the most sensitive U.S. military base in the country shut down due to unexplained anomalous phenomenon? Makes no sense. In another story, Tim Walz, Kamala Harris's running mate, was on MSNBC last night defaming Elon Musk again, likening him to a Nazi, saying, of course, Elon Musk did a Nazi salute at Trump's rally in Washington, D.C. I'm shocked Democrats are still running with this story. This could have been our vice president, folks. This guy could have been our vice president for 4 years. Scary, scary thought. Watch this.
I think it is speaking up. It's thinking about your neighbors. It's writing and putting those members of Congress. Look, there is no spine amongst those folks, but this is real. This is, they're talking about defunding the police, things that they, puff their chests up and say they're good with, making the case. And I would let, to the voters, I'm with this too. Everybody's fatigued. Trust me, I get it. It was pure hell, and the disappointment and the frustration. And I'm, soul searching. What could we have done to make the case? Because we knew this was coming. We knew that the implications, and they're throwing so much at us that we're fatigued. We spent 3 days, debating, having them trying to debate that President Musk gave a Nazi salute. Of course he did. But that is a distraction from what I think you said it. This is game on stuff right here. And I am worried with these federal employees because, look, they're in a tough spot. That some of these folks, especially those that are doing good work around environmental concerns, around justice for people, around, criminal justice reform, all of the things that make our society better, those folks are in there. And they're making, they put out tweets from the president's fail son who threatens people, like, we're coming for you. You think this is bad or whatever. So I would tell people, stay focused. Don't take the bait on the distractions. Surround yourself with people who understand this and recognize the things they went after today are basically a big chunk of what society does. And people like to have clean water and hospitals and safety and roads and airports, all the things they're going after. And you summed it up. There's societies that function like this, where the rich and the oligarchs do everything, and there's some fabulously wealthy people who are are above the law, and the rest of us are here. And I think we have to find that voice. We have to push back. We have to be organized. We do have to use the courts, but I just want to caution everyone. I don't know what tends us to believe that Donald Trump cares what the courts say. I think there needs to be more to that. And I think it is taking it to the individual people. Show what each of these programs does and what it means to people's lives.
That's clear-cut defamation, in my opinion. He knows it's not true. MSNBC knows it's not true, but they keep saying it. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.